Hi Jack, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Just fatigued from squad. I mean, I can't believe you've had squad and you've trained, what, 4 times already?
Yeah, 4 times this week already.
Fifth
one coming.
Another one in a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
And an extra long squad with that team Kata practice, which is always fun.
What time was that till?
Whatever time we want. We got 6 o'clock squad went to.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Was that 1 till 6?
Yeah, so it was 1 till 4 for the main session, and then roughly about 4 till 6 for the second, just to get the team Kata up to scratch.
Yeah. How's it feeling? How's it looking?
Yeah, feeling good at the moment. Feeling good. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just that awkward part with the training. You have those days where you feel really fatigued, you're tired, and you're not sure it's working, and then some days it just seems to click and it feels quite good.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm having a few more of those good days rather than bad. So
Well, that's what you want, isn't it? With the obviously world imminent, what's it, like 6-7 weeks?
Yeah.
Hence the extra team Kata practice as well, obviously. No, yeah, it's been good. I think we haven't been on since like before nationals, have we? So
No, we've had a few things, haven't we? But
Yeah.
we've tried getting them up and going again. This has been really the first opportunity to have a guest on, isn't it? So
we've had basically our organisation has been amazing. To put it really blunt, we
tried.
We did try a couple of things for him. We could have done just you and me. Probably quite easy, but we don't want it to be.
we don't want it to be forever us.
Yeah. We want people on it.
Going over the same ground.
Yeah, we want people like yourself, obviously, to inspire. And probably a different insight as well, being more of a Kata specialist, and we're both, not that we can't do Kata, but more fighting based. Obviously, you won nationals again.
How many is that now?
So I can never actually remember the exact number. I'm sure.
Oh, come on.
It's 7. I think it's 7 now. Yeah.
That's a good list, and the Kata event, well, like any nationals, it's a good list of. There's other people on the list there, you know,
some high caliber
to
competition.
be part of that list of multiple winners.
It's similar to obviously like the Shotokan Cup when you've got your name on there. It's in that same list.
Yeah.
Going back sort of 50 odd years.
Yeah, that's the first thing I done when I won the Shotokan Cup. Look at the names.
Yeah.
And some of the names on there, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Some people I grew up watching at competition, and then even further back.
Yeah.
Fantastic list.
It's an unusual one to see your name sort of on the same.
Yeah. Well, have they got a second back on the Shotokan Cup now?
They've got
They
two.
do,
Yeah, on the kumite one, yeah.
I think I'm on both. The
Yeah,
one
you probably like me. You with the transition over. No, definitely. Although I haven't won it as consistently as you could think. Rian won it last year. Never got it back this year.
Rian was the first
female
one.
for the kumite
one.
one. For the kumite one, yeah. There's been a couple on Kata.
Long time coming now.
Yeah,
No offense.
No. It should be about the performance, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it
shouldn't just be automatically. I appreciate you need to win, I suppose, the event to get it, but it should be about the performance on the day where. I think last year when she won it, like I eked out a win, whereas she had like a really good fight and obviously
performed well.
Yeah, so obviously completely deserved it.
I think it's the understanding of the cup, isn't it? That's what the cup's meant to represent.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that quality on the day. So.
Yeah, definitely. Which I forgot we had the Shotokan Cup in between.
We've had 2, yeah.
Jack also won that.
Yeah.
In case anyone didn't know.
So did Joe.
Yeah, it was
It was a very good event, wasn't
it?
The club had a particularly good day. Yeah, we had the first and second in the men's and the women's. So Wellington come out of we know he never come out of nowhere, but it looked like he come out of nowhere.
Did to everybody else.
Yeah.
Didn't to us because we'd seen him.
He'd been training with us.
Oh yeah, a little Brazilian import.
Yeah.
His class as well. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
You'll probably speak to him at some point.
Ex-South American champion as well, isn't he?
That was a bit of a shocker, to be fair myself. I turned up and you always sort of scour around, have a little look around. I don't recognise that gentleman over there. But I
so unassuming as well, yeah.
You just get this feeling and see him warming up with you, thinking, something tasty going to go on.
And he's changed consistently as well. Again, this is the good thing at the moment with the club. We're not talking about 1 or 2 good competitors. We're talking in one single session, it could be 8, 9, 10, 12 good competitors in one go, and then you've got the juniors as well who are learning off that. So
The same with yourself, isn't it? You've got Nick there now.
Yeah.
There's more than that. You've got a few internationals now, so I'm guessing that's obviously really good. And probably quite nice to. You can only teach the club, but how much training do you do with the club, if you don't mind me asking?
I try to get involved as much as possible.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
My teaching style is generally I'm quite involved all the
Hands-on,
time.
yeah.
I don't like to just sort of stand at the back and just shout.
Yeah.
Try and get involved at the same time.
Do you find that difficult though? Do you find it more difficult as you're getting older and the club's growing and stuff like that?
Yeah, so because my training isn't as intense as it used to be when I was younger, when I was recovering really quick. I'm not quite as quick to rebound. I'm noticing a lot of the students that I'm training in the same way I trained, I started fitness-wise to sort of keep up easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a hard part of the, I want to get involved as well, but also I don't want to be sort of showing up while I'm teaching at the same time. So it's getting that balance.
Yeah. I think what everyone is the fact of is if you're coaching as well, because you're talking a lot, so you do stuff and you're talking, you're not actually breathing properly. I saw a video, it was Conor McGregor on there, the Ultimate Fighter, in the comments, he can't, but he's obviously on the bag and he's talking, and he's wild, obviously, to shut up. And obviously he's gassed, and you're like, it's probably to do with the fact that he's talking whilst doing active, like, exercise. But obviously, as a coach, that's really good. You're obviously demonstrating kata or kun or whatever you're doing, and trying to project to be heard by 20, 30, 50 people, whatever it is. That takes its toll. I was just to find that you do the warm up, you'd be dead acting because you're shouting like that. And you're like, I'm definitely fitter than this.
I think the big thing for myself is that I don't want to give them drills, exercises that they think, because you do in your own head when the instructor gives you something to do, you think, well, could you actually do that?
Yeah.
Is that something you could do as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I do all the time. I give them loads of things I can't do. I don't want everyone. Off you go.
It used to be quite I was like doing more coaching back in there with it. But we're going to do this fitness and I'd do it. So you'd be like, well, I'm doing it. You've got no excuse to not do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not impossible. It's just tough. That's the idea. So I think obviously we sent over some questions, didn't we? I don't want to like bang through them. What have we got there? So I think, should we jump in that first?
Yeah, that first one. Most memorable moments in karate.
Tough one, really. I suppose there's ones which have a sort of more like sentimental value, sort of main sort of focus. I think the big one for myself, one of my main sort of coaches was Sensei Charles Naylor. And I'd always had a bit of a rough time with training. I was never the best in the class. I always struggled. Just remember, to be honest, when I first started, I almost got pulled out of karate because it took me about 9 months for my first grade because I just couldn't do.
Of course, that was going to happen.
I think we're okay. Yeah. But edit that out.
I just couldn't do left and right. Just could not get it right. That was awful.
You left-handed?
I'm right-handed,
Okay,
but this is the problem. I just could not, and then other left, then change, and then other left.
Yeah.
It just kept going wrong, and my sister was training at the same time, and she graded before me, and that kind of gave me a bit of a kick, I think, because I was always one grade behind her. I just remember Sensei Charlie just pulling me to the side one day and just sort of saying, you work hard. If you keep doing what you're doing, one day you're going to make it. Europeans, world champion, and it had never been on my mind at that point.
Yeah.
I was training.
How old was you then?
Only about sort of 12. When I was then going for squad.
Yeah.
And it was, I'd got onto squad and I'd already been told, you're 12 years old, don't even think about being selected. It's not happening until I think 16 at that point. Because there wasn't a youth category, so I knew I was in for the long haul. I think the first Portugal where I won the senior male kata for the Europeans. Yeah. I think that one hit really big because it was that sort of recognition and realisation that actually it'd been right, and the effort I put in was the main reason. Yeah.
That wasn't your like international win, though, was it? You won.
So I did
juniors, didn't you?
Poland. That was cadets. Poland was for cadets. Yeah, but the first senior event when I was 19, and that was a big deal for me. That one.
Yeah.
I think as well, if you can go through the thing and you can win one at that sort of lower level, not lower level, even the level, and then you go through to the senior, you've sort of stood that sort of test of time where it's like, you see a lot of people go to junior level, you do really well, and then not many go to the senior level and are able to perform at that thing. So when you get that senior win, I can understand that it always feels that little bit better getting the senior one, for obvious reasons. You've sort of, it's the sort of premier category, isn't it? You know, in respect of like, it's the one you want to go for, isn't it? You know, if anyone ever says, you know, what do you want to win? It's always going to be the senior event, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I think going out 19 there, my event was the junior event.
Yeah.
I was expected to do well in the juniors.
Yeah.
Hadn't worked out, and I don't know what my mindset had changed on the senior day, but it all sort of clicked.
do you think it was a lack of pressure? Like in respect of like being a junior and then going into the seniors and winning?
I put a lot of pressure during the juniors, and I never really managed to succeed in the juniors. Not individually, very successful in the team.
Yeah.
But individually, I really didn't have much success. But I was winning senior or getting closer in senior than much before I was actually meant to be in the group. So
Yeah.
I think that happens quite often as well. You know, when you actually think about the people who are winning European and Worlds, the age is sort of getting a little bit younger now, I'd say, in the Kata anyway. Or, you know, every now and again the Kata one comes up and it's a little bit younger than.
Yeah. I think they say.
And again, is it that lack of pressure thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I always remember competing from my point of view. I think I put pressure on myself from a young age. I want to be world champion one day, and it never ever, as an individual, it never ever got to that stage because, again, I would say more than anything, there's a lot of luck on the day, or that sort of thing. You have the right draw, you know, the right people in front of you, all that. But I'd say a lot of pressure. In the end, you know, in the end, won the Europeans, but it wasn't the Worlds. You know, and don't get me wrong, in a lot of ways, built to win an international event at that level was good, but I'd say the pressure, that what you just said then, that pressure of got to win the Worlds individuals. Like I say, it was the only one, and it was like, don't get me wrong, looking back now, I'm not. It is what it is.
it's the bar you set yourself though, isn't it?
I think if you're competing at that level, you've got to set the bar. If you don't set the bar,
if you don't think
you're not going to last.
You're not going to if you don't think you can.
And I think that's, you know, it is the pinnacle, isn't it, the world championship. So it'd be unusual to say to yourself, well, I'm happy just European champion. It doesn't really make much sense.
It doesn't take much more either. Like I say, a lot of it's just on the day. Like I've got more worlds than Europeans, which in sounds weird to say.
In theory, you've got a couple of worlds. You should have more European, but you know, it's that's how it would look.
As well. Like every year, so I've probably done twice as many. I've come close a few times and then qualified.
Well, there's been a few instances.
I've been beat as well, obviously. So like a couple of times where it hasn't been like that.
But again, it's that consistency, though, isn't it? You've been there or thereabouts every time, like, which is the one. Like, you know, if you can be consistent at that level, that's. Yeah, but that's what
even the same with Kata. I mean, like so many medals. Like I don't think I can think of many people who've been as consistent at an international level in Kata. I mean, I could be wrong, and maybe there is. But obviously, I'm talking about my period where I've been doing. Obviously, that's what you see. Obviously, you recognise good people and you see who's good. And obviously, some they're in and out. So, like you say, you've been for a long time. I've been constantly, obviously, getting through to those late rounds and into the medals, which is. I mean, I'm jealous and that, like, I think it's very difficult to focus on both. I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think that the days of grand European champions is kind of
probably near the end. Is
pretty much gone.
I'd like to see another one though. Yeah. We've spoken about this, haven't we? We were talking about it the other day. Go for it. We've got to try to beat you as well.
I don't think that's happening. To be fair, I'm not that level. And there's other people that have to beat as well.
Kata's tough though, isn't it? You know, it's a tough training mentally as well. I think, you know, we've sort of this like kumite training is, or you know, kumite competition. The job is done as long as you beat that person. Whereas I think Kata's a lot different.
You got to beat the referees. You got to beat yourself.
It's a mental challenge. It's a physical challenge.
It's unusual. If anything, actually, the people you're up against are irrelevant. That could be anyone. Anyone else on there, but you've got to give that best performance. That appeals to everyone in the room.
Even little things like, you know, in kumite you can slip over, but if that person doesn't score on you, it doesn't matter. Whereas a slight stumble in Kata, you're taking a 0.1 off, and if everyone takes a 0.1 off, you're all of a sudden in extra must get 0.7 down. You know, and that can make a big difference in.
It's hard to come back
at that level.
And it is a one opportunity.
It's not just that to win. You've obviously one person can make a mistake, but you need you're not relying on 3 people to make a mistake, but you can't rely on a mistake to happen because that's only going to get you past one person. You need to beat all 3.
And as well, and I know there's no such thing as a safe performance, but I only need someone to make a safe kata. You know, for example,
really make them push them over.
Whereas, you know, it just gets them over the line. Maybe, and don't get me wrong, that doesn't usually happen. It shouldn't happen at that level. But you know,
even at national level,
it shouldn't. But it can.
You can't do anything clever. That's the thing with kumite. You can always let's do something mad and score. Like, just don't hit me again. Like kata, it's just not like that. If somebody's better than you,
it's so precise.
Not a great deal.
It's got to be so precise.
Try and get better.
Even little things like it's not even just the physical side of things. It's sometimes like that we can look in the mannerism. I think kata, you know, sometimes even the facial expression, it's like if it just looks a little bit bland in the face, doesn't matter how good the body looks, isn't quite there, is it? Whereas I think, you know, if it's got that whole, you've got to think about everything from head to toe, inside out, and that's what makes the performance. I think.
An overall, isn't it? Really, an overall performance on that one. And I've gone to referees before and said, you know, what was it that made you give me this mark? It might have been foot position or something like that. And you think, well, you've seen it, someone else hasn't seen it. You know, and it can be as easy as that sometimes. Just hitting forward with the wrong thing.
It's the preference points, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely.
One person likes one person, another one likes someone else. Yeah. And on the day, if you've got 4 or 5 people who like a particular person's kata more than like yours, you're going to have to do something particularly special to change that mind. And that's not me saying, you know, that's a favouritism thing, but at the same time also it is a game of opinions, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, because you're not, again, beating someone to the punch, I think in some ways that can make things harder.
Yeah.
Because again, you could do absolutely everything physically possible, put everything out there, and you point one down.
It's not as much as getting everyone alongside each other to see who's sharper.
Yeah.
You haven't got those sort of physical, like you said, those physical tests you have in the kumite, and you can see someone's faster the point, and that's the way it works. So you are basically looking at the overall and just trying to, with your eyes, work out what appeals better. The overall performance.
It's definitely a conversation we've had before when we're away, and you're like, that match, you're out first round. That might be in the final, and that's because obviously you've got a different set of judges on each mat, and if your style does or doesn't appeal, and that's all it's about. I'm probably really simple because it doesn't really happen at home because obviously you've got a KUGB standard, so like everybody kind of drives the same thing. Whereas obviously because multiple countries, some like
multiple organisations,
like done differently.
There's certainly a JK style, even within Eskin and Muscat, isn't there? You know, I think the majority.
With all the different countries, all have certain different things.
Yeah, you can probably tell a lot of countries by certain techniques. Even, you know, I think some of them in backside eye move. I think on one, you know, the scam you did the back leg.
So like MP, like we often do the fast over, whereas they'll do like a slow, like dramatized bit.
Things like timings as well, just like the actual sequencing and movement and stuff like that is all varied.
Yeah, they'll allow a lot more like bend in the back knee as well when you're in Zenkuchi. That's where if it ends up being 20 minutes, we've just had a full conversation with no recording, possibly.
Going back to what we were saying there, I think at the end of it all, one thing I would say is, even in kata, generally the best person would win. I would say it's very, you know, even more so in kata. I would say, you know, someone can have a fantastic day in kumite and you just manage to turn it on a day and score the points and win. Whereas I think with kata, it is pretty much a case of like,
or
definitely won on the day.
Yeah, or at least the last 4 are probably like the best 4 on the day. And then maybe slight differences in there, but like you can tell who's performed. Usually, you can watch again within reason. I'd say, like sometimes somebody really good goes out to somebody else who's really good early on. That can obviously happen, but it just depends on, again, the draw makes a big difference. We said about luck, that's probably one of the things.
Luck is a big one,
There's that consistency, isn't there? And I think obviously on the sort of localised circuit, generally the group sort of see themselves through in a way where most of the time the same sort of people are working their way through.
Yeah.
Bar a few situations, like you said, where someone sort of just pulls out a cracking cat on the day and it just you know, it sort of blows everyone away.
Yeah.
And then you've obviously got the competitions where they have the semi-finals. Obviously everyone being marked alongside everyone else, so it gives that sort of consistency on there.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's right. I think Stephen, in terms of like we know these are the best. I mean, I'd like probably competition to be last year. this is the top 4 or top 8, or whatever like your cut-off is, we'll split them people and deal with it. Obviously, the last issue, you don't want to have to like have all the best people go up against each other on the way through, because that kind of
you always want a competitive final. Don't you? You always need a competitive final. I think if you haven't got that, it's not that I don't say devalues it anyway, because you've still got to win, but at the same time,
it's a psychological part as well, isn't it? Really, I mean, no one competes to go up against some of the best people. You want to go up against the best. It's as simple as that. If you're going to win, you want to be the best of the best on the day, not something happens and you think, okay, especially with Kata, if someone does make a mistake or something like that, you do. Well, I know I personally have felt in the past when I've seen someone make a mistake and an error and that, you kind of just think, it's not that it doesn't have the same value to it as you said, it's just I'd have liked to have seen what that person would have got, the maximum they could have done, and then put mine up against that, just to see how close that was.
I think again that's another thing, isn't it? I don't think you'd ever want to win a championship if the next best person to you, for example, gets the kata wrong. And again, that's part and parcel of it sometimes. I know that doesn't really happen. You know, it doesn't tend to happen at the top level. You know, Muska, Eska. It doesn't tend to. I can't ever remember the time it happened there. I can remember the time it has happened in KGB competitions where some of your top liners have absolutely just minds gone blank. And
I do remember one with the team.
With the team, was this the name?
They announced. There was a big question around it, and they decided that they'd announced the wrong kata and just completely.
So it's just disqualified them, didn't
disqualified.
It's funny you should say that. We went to an open championship not long ago, and then they were doing pairs kata. So we put a couple of the kids together just to give them some experience, and both of our pairs katas got disqualified for saying hajime at the start.
Oh, okay.
And it was like,
that seems a bit harsh.
It was very harsh, you know. Considering it was like, come on, we're not part of this organisation.
There was an open I remember going to, and similar situation, because one of the pair had announced, one said hajime, they disqualified him because only one person could announce apparently. And I mean
I think sometimes when you're at that level, I think that ruins sort of a competition. I think, you know, if we're talking World European level championship, for example, and someone's getting the name of the kata wrong, then that's on you. But if you're in sort of like someone else's events, like a different organisation's event, there's got to be surely a little bit of leeway there.
Well, I can understand.
Little rule, like saying the name of the kata or hajime. Come on.
I can understand consistency of rules, but as you said, sometimes it's just, you know,
you've got to give consistency. Yeah, exactly. There's levels, and there's certain things like your rules. For me, you have to make common sense. You have to make sense of what they are. You know, is saying hajime at the start of a kata ruining the kata? Is it giving anyone an advantage? I don't think it is. You know, at the end of the day, if everyone can do it and everyone doesn't do it, whatever, then it doesn't really matter.
It's the choice aspect, isn't it?
Exactly.
I think the key thing, going back to, like, if it's a yellow to green belt, you go, the likelihood is this is the or one of the first competitions this person's ever done. Like, how strict do you want to be on really minute details? You know what I mean? You kind of go, okay, we should look. I personally think if I was a referee, I'd be like, I'd just let that go and maybe tell them. And you go, okay, so obviously if they do another round, depending on how that works, in theory they shouldn't do it again. But I mean, it'd be like punishing kids for like walking through the referee. I appreciate you shouldn't do it, but obviously it happens, and you kind of go round, and you just sort of like you have to wipe that.
They're not going to know until you know.
They're kids or lower grades, and for some of them it might be their first, second, third competition. They're not well versed.
They're not in the etiquette of
and they're nervous, and like you can tell people a million times, but obviously they still forget. Especially like 6 years old, 6-year-old yellow belt. Like, you can probably only just lay on the left and the right properly, and like you're expecting them to like, I think it's just a bit fussy, like at that level. You say different level, it's completely different. I think one of the questions we did have, and it'll probably lean into a second question, although you might answer it. What's one of the biggest challenges you think you've had in like your karate, and how have you overcome it?
I suppose one of the hardest ones was probably the World Championship in Chicago, and I've never really been one to listen to what a lot of other people say. You know, for me, it's like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've never really taken for granted my progression, how I've gone through, if I've won or if I've lost. But I think at that year I'd been away for the Europeans, and a few people would sort of say to me, you had a really good year, second in all the competitions, you medalled on your first Europeans out.
Yeah.
You must be going away to Chicago. Yeah. And I think I let that...
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of logical sense to appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think I let it get to my head, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm going to Chicago. And then obviously the list came out. I wasn't on there, and that was a sort of quite a big hit, because obviously all the people that have been going, oh yeah, you must be. There was no. Yeah, there wasn't like, oh, sorry to hear that, or I'm shocked to see that, or anything like that. It was just like almost no acknowledgement. It just happened, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I think psychologically that sort of threw me back a little bit. Mm-hmm. In the long run, it worked as quite a good thing.
Well,
really.
I was about to say that in the long run, does that make you push harder? Does that make you want it a little bit more? Does that make you want to show everyone, well, look, I am good enough at this level, and I am going to make sure everyone sees that? And that they have the positive points, don't they? As at the time, they don't. At the time, there's nothing positive anyone can say well, you're still not going. It doesn't matter what people say. But at the same time, I would say it's probably had a positive impact in the end.
Definitely, I think it was towards the end of the year. I kind of got to the end of the year, December, and I was thinking kind of got two options. I either just say, right, okay, that's it. I just enjoy it for training. That's all it's going to be. I'm not going to worry competitively, or I'm going to make a point of sort of coming back and making sure I'm saying that, in my mind, that was a mistake. Not taking me was a mistake.
I think what you've just said there is a good point as well. I mean, I think especially now, with a lot of the under 16s can get picked for championships as well. I think nowadays, because the age has dropped, I think there's a lot of expectation level at a younger age, and I think a lot of people seeing it as the end of the world if you've not been selected for a European or World Championships. And sometimes you've got to look at the bigger picture here and say, well, what is the marker to be good enough to be a European and, to be at that level? And I think sometimes there's a little bit of a blurred line now where people are going, well, I've done all right this year and I've not been selected. What does doing all right even mean? Yeah. Again, the bar's got to be higher than that. The bar's got to be better than a couple of placings here and there. It's got to be high. If you're placing the bar at a sort of a level, it needs to be higher, in my opinion. And again, you just said it there. You come second all year on everything, and second in kata.
Because that would have been like
that's consistent
as well.
15 to 20, even senior at the time.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's a tough category then, of being like the younger end of that spectrum.
Yeah, and it was
and medalled at European Championships, which is another thing.
It changed my mindset on that thing. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
And it stopped me focusing so much on just the results, and it was about how am I training, how much training am I getting, quality of the training. It wasn't just am I better than the people that I'm competing against, am I better than the people I'm training with, am I better than when I'm turning up the squad.
Well, it's certainly opened
in that room.
It certainly opened your mind up on that one. Then again, going back to it, there's plenty of positives in even such just a little negative thing. And don't get me wrong, it's massive at the time, isn't it? Because again, it hurts. Yeah. These things do hurt. Any little setback, especially when you want it that much, and that's what it goes to, wanting it. So what you've got to ask yourself then is, what do you do after that? If you do the same thing and you don't get it, you don't get it again, you've got to ask yourself, well, what am I doing? Am I doing enough?
Well, it's that same process, isn't it? As you said, it's no good just doing the same. If it hasn't worked the first time round, it's not going to happen the next time or the next time. If you haven't progressed and shown that you want it more.
Definition of sanity,
and there's always going to be someone that's chasing behind you that wants it just as much. And I think if you give them the opportunities, someone's going to leapfrog you, and that's it. You've got to keep yourself grounded and focused on it.
I think you did prove though, because anyone who probably doesn't realise, so Chicago's 2011, wasn't it? And then you said before, obviously you won Esker in 2011.
That was Poland,
so 2 months later, from not getting picked, obviously dusted yourself off, won the European.
That's a massive
what a way to turn around and go.
That's a massive
we missed that, but I didn't let it eat me away. And obviously I've got another opportunity, and bam, there's the mistake. You probably could have won the world, realistically, the gone. You probably just unfortunate because it was very expensive. And
That's the thing.
Finances determined the size of the team because it was a small team.
Yeah. I think being older now, I can understand all the things that go into organising.
It's more than just. It's more than just
you're good. You're coming.
You know, if money wasn't an issue, I'm sure every team would be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
You know,
100%,
the championship would be a lot bigger. That's as simple as it is. But finance is finance, and there is a stopping point at that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. Where are you going to drag it in from? You can't just drag it in from somewhere. And if you can, you get it.
Yeah, because I feel like I remember like hearing, I don't know exactly in Chicago, but I swear it was like £1,000, £1,500 per person was what it was costing. So obviously you factor in, you're going to take like 15 people. Obviously it's easy going to add a person in. You're like, you've got to find another £1,000. I'll take another £1,000. So obviously it does start to, obviously when you consider you do have ESCA 2 months later, which you also need to finance, which, I mean, even at £200 a head, you take 30 people, which when you think that includes your referees, your coaches, so it's not a squad of 30, that's £6,000. Obviously, we're very fortunate, the KUGB, they pay. But I suppose you're at the mercy then of like there's only so much money to go around.
Yeah, and I think that degree of where it's not necessarily exclusive, but it's, you know, you're selected, you're awarded. It makes it very important, doesn't it? It's not the same as going, well, okay, you know, we think you might do a good chance, so if you can find 1,500, we'll bring you along. You know, it kind of, again, it devalues the situation. So, you know, it's them saying that we've got trust in you. We think you're capable of doing it. We're going to put the money behind you and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, we've been very fortunate to like got to where we have. Essentially, it's not really cost anything. You pay for your food when you get there. Like, you know, it's not a great deal.
No, exactly.
Then go on.
Let's put it. I'd much rather be on that plane going to the championship and paying for me food than not going at all. But that's a simple.
Or having to pay for the whole thing. When like none of these are costing, they're not costing £200. Like I know I mentioned that, but it's way more than that. Like you're not getting hotels, flights, entry fees. Like even to the tracksuits, you factor everything in. Okay, you need one tracksuit for like I say your entire career or like for a couple of years or whatever that is, but it still costs a lot of money. So I think. I mean, I'm glad you said it. I would have asked about that otherwise. Because it's very relevant at the minute. We just obviously had selections, and
it was a smaller team than usual. And there's a lot of people disappointed. You know, if you've gone before and you've not been selected, I can understand your disappointments, and you should be disappointed though. You know, I think if you just under the illusion, you know, just accept the fact that you've not been selected and you know it's whatever, then probably it's not for you. You know,
it's got to mean something, hasn't it?
It has got to mean.
You know, it doesn't.
In a lot of ways, it's got to mean everything. And then that's when you bounce back. When you bounce back is when you are at that low of like.
If it doesn't hit you hard, then you're not going to be as you said, you're not going to be motivated to get up the sofa and start kicking back, and saying like, you made a mistake. Here we go. Even if it's just in your own head saying like, I'm going to prove them wrong. You've got to have some sort of fight back. I think that's key sometimes because it's so easy to go, okay, well, it hasn't worked out. I'll just move on to the next thing. You know, it doesn't really matter.
I think it's a comment we've made, like it's about reflection, isn't it? And if it doesn't work out, yes, you're disappointed, but why? Reflect on it. Obviously, as you were saying, but what can I change to try and implement that? And obviously, them changes might be small, they might be big, they might be a quick fix, they might be a long-term fix. And again, you've obviously just got to factor in whatever that is, and obviously whether you can do that on your own or you need to speak to, say, your instructor, your coach, could be speak to your parents, whatever that is. But I think there's a lot of things that people can help with, and like you say, I think there is a very much a push for like do well. Sometimes people don't quite know how to support that, or like when it doesn't go well, how do we back that? So you kind of, you deserve to go. You're like, well, okay, but that's not really going to help now because that's not happened. So, I mean, also the really obvious thing, if you want to get on that plane, win everything you can. That's obvious, but that's a really easy thing to say.
Well, there's only one person that can do that, isn't there?
And obviously not everybody has to win everything, but you need to obviously find
to give yourself the best
push yourself into that position, and obviously get them improvements and show. That might be that like you consistently coming third. Can you push yourself into second place? Whether that's
there's always a push, isn't there?
Can I edge myself ahead of the next person in some way, shape, or form? Can I then win a tournament, like if you haven't won before, say, can I edge past this person, even if it's only for one tournament, but showing one you're improving, especially if that person, there's probably is a bit of like, if they're going away, get the scalp on them is going to make a big difference, you know what I mean? Or, obviously there's loads of ways you can do that, because it could be, especially kumite, you've got team, it's a little bit different with category, obviously you've got to do it in the competition, like individuals, but again, still making sure you rock up to squad, do everything, perform. Like you say, just showing that improvement. Like say, it might not just be in the dojo, it might be mental, it might be to big gym goer yourself. So obviously that's part of like probably what's helped you really come on.
Yeah, definitely.
Is like that getting that phys- we were talking before we started about like when you first went into the seniors and you were chasing like John Bruce, who's probably like, I mean, you're what, 20, John's like 10 years older than you, like, so physically you're not going to be anywhere near like competing, because at 16 to 26 there's no physical comparison, but obviously it's something you can work towards. It's a long-term project.
Yeah, it was something I heard quite a lot, you know. It's like, you know, it's just as simple as like a referee just saying, you know, just wasn't as strong.
Yeah.
Okay, in your head you can go, right, okay, well,
Yeah.
they just obviously don't like me, they don't like the cat, or do you go, right, okay, what am I going to do to make it stronger? You know, for myself it was like, well,
Get stronger.
get stronger. You know, and that's the only thing I could think of. It was like, right, and it was because I've had that adversity before. It wasn't even like a switch to think, right, well, against the wall again, what am I going to do? It was just like, right, well, this is how I'm getting around it. Yeah, and you know, like you said, I spoke to my coaches, spoke to my parents, and we talked about how it was going to happen. You know, and it wasn't easy, but it's never really an easy situation anyway.
Your mum and dad have been a big influence on you, haven't they? I've always noticed since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Your mum and dad have always been there, which is fantastic. It makes a big difference. I think
It's
lots of support.
impactful, I think, as well, when I've seen like a lot of people that have struggled through the years where, you know, they don't have that same sort of support.
yeah.
You know, no matter what, I've got someone that, you know, they're obviously a little bit more biased towards me and they always want to see the best success.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, though, is there?
But I think it's, you know, they understand, you know, what it feels like.
I'd like to think it's made a big difference on how successful you've been.
Yeah, and I
Having
think
your parents behind you doing that, you know.
I think it's kept me very
It's a good
grounded
constant,
as well.
yeah.
It's not allowed me to get too far away with it. Because they're always like saying, you know, what about your training? You know, when you next go to training, what's your next sort of plan?
Yeah.
I mean, we finished squad on Saturday, and as soon as I got here on the hotel, straight into the gym for some sort of, just strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
It's just the sort of structure that they've helped sort of push.
Yeah.
Particularly when I was younger, and you know,
You
when you're
need that.
16 and you're like, well, I don't want to be doing that. I want to go out and see my friends. I want to go out and do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had our fair few arguments, but they've definitely kept me grounded on what I needed to be doing. You know, and my dad was one of the big ones on there, just very honest and sort of said, you know, if you want to be the best, and you've got to train as the best, and if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But
don't expect.
You know, I'm not going to take you here. Then I'm not going to support you to do this because
Yeah. I think in your, because of where you live, and a lot of stuff's like not local, so it's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
Like obviously squad to live with a 3-4 hour drive. Like we're really fortunate because a lot of stuff is quite local. It's like, oh, squad's there, I've got squad in 20 minutes, let's leave. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that 3-hour session takes 4 hours, whereas for you it's an entire day or it's a hotel stay. And like there's loads you can, if your parents can't say, oh, someone else will take me because you can get there, is so reliant on that. Especially younger, especially you're a little bit easy, but like you said, I think that would have made a huge difference in just keeping it going. So obviously, it is a big commitment for your parents as well as you. But obviously, it's worked out because obviously you took the pride.
I have to say, like a lot of my success, I do credit to them. Without the support they gave me, I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't have been able to just even turn up to squad.
Yeah.
It would have been a challenge.
Yeah.
And probably when I was younger, I probably wouldn't have pushed myself to do it. So,
Yeah.
you know, now I'm older, I value it a lot more. So, you know, I'd find a way. You know, if they said, "Oh, we're going away this weekend, but you've got squad," I'd find a way to get up there because I've got that value of it now. But yeah, back then I'd have been like, "Oh, you know, just one session doesn't really matter." And
Yeah.
they'd push me to do it. So
I'm conscious of time, so I think that top 5 craft is a big question. So I'll let you structure that however you want. So if we sort of, oh, it was a team kumite, probably we were kumite baseball, you can do that. Or like just top 5 craft.
Top 5. Yeah, anything. Even someone who you could train with. 5 people you could have trained with at the time.
I know it's a good question.
yeah,
you know, 4 people you could have been in a final with.
I think that's a tough one, isn't it? Really, to obviously have that like top 5 people. Mine are quite spread, really. I suppose in no particular order as such. Yourself, Joe. Obviously, I've trained alongside you for years now.
Yeah.
I think it's that I value the consistency I've put in, and obviously still seeing you on the other side of it now.
Yeah.
Still at the same stage as me. I see just how much you've had to put in. I know how much you've had to sacrifice and everything like that. I'll be honest, I enjoyed like the kumite fighting against you. I never put myself up in that situation. I never really believed it, you know. But I thoroughly enjoyed like all those years working through, being like fortunate enough to train alongside yourself, really.
I appreciate
both Kata and kumite, really. Sort of kept me really sort of pushed forward because you've always managed to keep the balance for the two. I see a lot of kumite fighters, it's just kumite, and that's all they ever want to do. But I think you'd be able to keep the balance between the two. And
probably you get older, I'll give it that. Yeah, 100%. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think Charles Naylor.
Yeah.
First, like real coach that I felt had my back the whole way. Almost like to see the future. Sort of feeling. It did have that feeling because everything he'd always told me did seem to sort of just slot into place. And I always felt I think without that from the coach, it's not even an uphill battle. You just don't have a chance. You know, you need your coach to have that faith and belief behind you. Same drive, same focus, same understanding. You know, win together, lose together. It's that same sort of situation. Sensei Brennan, it's always been I mean,
the easy one.
When I first started, it was like, I need to be as good as him.
Yeah.
Now I'm just hoping that by the time I reach the same age, I can still move to the same degree that he can.
50% of what you can do now, I'll take it.
It's just inspiring. And I think when you've got that as your coach, and as a top instructor, and it's so prominent in the KUGB, really sort of that's the heartbeat, isn't it? Really, that keeps everyone going. It makes you realise. We always say you go into one of his sessions, you might have an injury or something like that, and you think I'm just going to take it easy. As soon as you start shouting, forget about everything else. You're just completely in the zone. Two more. I need to find them. That's the challenge. Has everyone else been quite quick in finding?
Well, to be fair, it's only been us two. I find it really difficult. The first couple are quite easy. It's the last couple.
Yeah, I think. I remember Holly from a very young age.
Yeah, Holly Sterling.
Holly Sterling when she was training down in Chelmsford, and at that point she was travelling. To get back and forward.
Yeah, I think from Dover, don't you? So quite a distance, I think.
Yeah, and I think that was my first real sort of big showing to seeing someone that was so prominent in Kata. Just everything was technically there. And, it was sharp and it was strong. And it was just it was the first time I remember watching Kata. That's how I want to be doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to just do what I can do. I want to be able to do it to that level. And then being fortunate enough to train with her for a long time.
Yeah.
And then compete with her for a long time as well. Just one of those honours that you get sometimes, which is just really, really nice.
Yeah.
Last one. Tough one to think of, really.
I guess there's probably loads of names, and it's kind of like trying to pin them down. That's the difficult bit, isn't it?
It is really. I mean, there is so many people that have been prominent, like rivalries that sort of kept me going, kept me motivated. Probably going back to that original story at the start, probably my sister, to be honest, because I honestly believe if she hadn't done it alongside me and graded and got ahead of me, which really frustrated me at the time, even being only 6 years old, I was like, like,
there's nothing quite like sibling rivalry.
Sport-wise, I was generally better at most sports, most sporting things, and then there was stuff. And I was like, it doesn't seem right, And I know she was 6 years older than me, but at the time I was sitting there and I was thinking, I don't like this. I don't like being second best. So I I honestly don't think I'd have switched it on and got it together if it hadn't been for her. So.
Or it would have took a lot longer to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it may never have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember speaking in sort of recent times with my parents. My parents were on that edge of sort of saying like, it's that, you know,
Yeah.
8 months in, he doesn't know his left and his right. We'll just call it quits. You know, I was doing skiing at the time and I was doing well at that. I was swimming at the time and I was doing well at that.
Yeah.
And I could have just seen them and just pulling me out and just going, "No, we'll focus on something else." It would have been a very different situation then. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you'd have been really good at probably anything you've done. Because clearly got like the athletic, a little bit like the work that it doesn't matter what sport you do. It takes a lot of work.
There's a few. Football wasn't one of my best.
Yeah, I'm like that too.
Yeah, my dad wasn't particularly happy with that. He had great hopes of a big time footballer. Came to one of my first matches. And,
What team though? What team?
What he supports?
Yeah.
He was Arsenal.
It's not too bad then.
And then obviously we had to go with Ipswich because loads of area. But I remember him coming to one of my first football matches, and I distinctly remember being told, you know, just stand on the wing and don't do anything unless the ball comes to you. And that's what I did. For a whole 90 minutes, I just stood there on the wing. I didn't move, and he left because he was like, "I can't watch this." So, yeah, I mean, football was definitely not never going to take off from me, I don't think.
Yeah, you know, I was on football, mate, don't mix at all. Too left, I can't kick the ball. I can kick people, but I can't kick the ball. Same like, which I think maybe to finish, because obviously you've got to go back and do a little bit more kata. We finished this, didn't we? Obviously, I know we sort of lose it. If you didn't do karate, what would you do?
Ooh.
I know it's a bit of a weird one, but
It is. I mean, at the time, I was just a hyperactive kid, so I was chucked into anything.
Yeah.
Anything and everything. Skiing, I did quite like skiing. I got the luxury of going down an actual snow mountain, and ever since then, I was like, I'm not doing dry sloping. I don't. It feels horrible. I probably would have focused on swimming.
yeah.
Something I really enjoyed. 5 o'clock starts wasn't great.
Yeah.
But, that was something at the time that I was doing really well with. I reckon I'd have probably pushed towards that. It was always the unusual sports that I seemed to do a little bit better with. Like football.
I can kind of understand, because obviously swimming and kata seem very different, but obviously if you stripped it right back, it's very technical, but obviously very physical. So obviously when you want to make sure kata good, technically it's really good, but obviously there's a lot of strength and power behind, which you also need to be a good swimmer. Because if you've got bad technique in swimming, like I used to swim, and if the technique's bad, you might as well drown. You know what I mean? Like it's
nearly did.
But like if your technique's poor, you're so inefficient that like you just put way more effort in and not go anywhere. It's all about good, clean technique. Then obviously the strength kicks in after that. You can't just be a powerhouse.
I think when I was younger, that's most likely where I'd have gone. I think if I look at it now, probably bodybuilding. That's something I really enjoy being in the gym, and I think you get that same level of discipline. I reckon that'd probably be more what I'd work towards on that side of it. So.
Oh, cool. Well, very conscious that you need to be back, and we don't want you or us to get shouted at for it. So I'm hoping we didn't miss too much when it's a blip. I'm thinking it's probably.
I think it'll be fine.
I think it's probably just a little bit in the middle. Fingers crossed.
Jack,
thanks very much, mate. The next one will be out whenever. We have tried to plan a couple more, and I think we've got a couple that we know we can definitely get done.
All in good time.
But we will get some sort done.
Thank you very much.
At some point, but if I don't see you before, I will see you at Whisker.
Yes.
So I don't think there's anything before. We've got an extra squad, but it's kumite, so unless they get you down for team kata, which wouldn't surprise me.
I think it's for everyone, isn't it?
It might be.
I think we're booked in as well.
I didn't think. I just see you mentioned it the other day on Sunday, and I was like, more fighting. But you'll be forever. So I'll see you then. Awesome. Right, Jack. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers.